Action Impact number 20. The word that has been coming up really hasn't been coming up in a word. I don't know if that makes sense yet, but music. I think music is something really important to talk about because, it affects all of us. Um, I don't know of a person that doesn't listen to music. I guess you have the alternative of, talk radio and podcasts, but still, I think even then that person still listens to music on a regular basis. So uh, when I look at music, I immediately just get excited. Like it's something that really, can put you in a great mood and, or it can, allow you to sympathize with the situation because the person singing may have been in that situation. Uh, when I think about music and the tempo and um, the beat, the rhythm, it creates movement. And I encourage you not to fight that. Um, when it comes to movement, obviously be dancing or tapping your foot or nodding your head. Uh, a lot of times when you're in the public and you like the music you're listening to, you may still not fully embrace that, where you're kind of like reserved because you feel like if you do what the music is telling you to do, you'll be judged by others. I know for a fact my dance moves are not superb. And a lot of times when I break them out, I get like wait a second, who is this guy first off? And why does he think that's okay? Um, but it's the music telling me to do it. It creates movement. And when I enjoy what I'm hearing, I feel like it just echoes through my body and it causes me to get in motion and my emotions. Um, Something really to dive into when it comes to music is it can definitely be a positive influence or a negative influence. And sometimes the music we listen to is a negative influence on accident. I know obviously there's a lot of positives out there. And, when I look at like worship music and, even secular music that has a story behind it, it can really be positive. And uh, then you have the other ones that are more of a negative um, connotation to it, where if you digest each word that you're hearing, it's not going to improve your life. Now, I'm the last one to tell you to stop listening to trap music because I feel like there's a time and a place for that, 100%. Uh, a lot of times when you listen to the lyrics of the trap music, none of it is really positive. It's all about getting yours, or you someone getting what they deserve, or how about it's just a lot of like self-centered lyrics about how you're a boss ass bitch, oops, or like how you're gonna get all this money, and it may not even be legally. And I love the beat of rap music, and I'm gonna continue to listen to it. But before I do, I always think about guarding my heart first, and processing more of the beat than the lyrics. I almost like dance to the beat, and then in my life I do the opposite of what the lyrics are telling me. Um, that's just what I've done to help cope with some of the music that I'm hearing these days. Is if I were to process every note and lyric that comes my way, I don't think it would necessarily improve my situation. So I look at it from a distance, and I kind of know what I'm going into. And yeah, I'm gonna have a good time. A lot of you know negative songs are pretty funny. Uh, And so, I'm going to continue to listen to that, but I'm also going to be aware of where it comes from and why, and how their situation may be a lot different than mine, and maybe I just can't fully understand where they're coming from at the moment. Um, when you look at music, the sympathy aspect of it, I think, is really neat. I used to be like anti country music for the longest time because I didn't fully understand what it was, and it just kind of seemed boring to me. But now I realize that it's very sympathetic. There's a lot of the things that the country artists are talking about are real things, and um, it's like a state of mind that they've maybe been in. And one thing I really think that's crazy about country music is, as an artist, I 100% think that you are a better country artist if you felt heartbreak before. It puts you in that mood. It advances your lyrics, and it gives you something to talk about. And also with just music in general, there's a relatability to it that makes you feel human, and hopefully makes you excited about that, as far as finding someone else that has the same perspective as you, or maybe finding someone who enjoys the same kind of music as you do. um, all of which can be really powerful. And uh, I know that there's been several songs lately that just pop on the radio, and um, every lyric is just like, how did you know? Like, what's going on? Why does this all make sense, right? uh, when songs make sense, I think that it's a good thing, even though it may not be easy at the time. And um, that song, I think we've all had both positive situations and negative situations, and they're somehow tied into a song. Um, there's still a couple songs out there that are way throwbacks, and when I hear them, I think about dancing with someone in the eighth grade, and like, or maybe it's a song that is more upbeat, and I remember landing, a wakeboard trick to that song, and how that made me feel. And uh, I think it's really neat how different songs and music can put you back into that scenario of, I remember when, or they can get you excited about the future. And uh, I encourage you to, really expand your music. Um, I don't know the word, your range of your music selection. And even if you don't like what you're finding, it'll make you appreciate what you already like even more, and maybe you'll be able to describe why. I I do see a lot of good and evil in music, and what's really weird about that is we're more willing to celebrate the evil. I think it's easier to uh, dance and have a good time to secular music, and no matter what the lyrics may be. uh, I think it's easier to celebrate, put your hands up, right? Or maybe it's applauding the band that was playing, uh, versus when you're in a good environment, like worshiping the Lord, or in a church environment. Why is it harder to put your hand up, you know, than it is to dance around to the music in the club? Uh, I think life's designed that way, and it goes hand in hand with being worried about the fact that you can't dance, and what other people will think of you, uh, versus fully worshiping God, and being in that moment and giving everything to Him, and doing that out of your body language. Uh, that's important. Um, kind of a little tangent, but I really enjoy music, and I'd say the genre of music that's progressed on me the most. There's two of them. Um, is definitely EDM. At first, I didn't really understand it, and dubstep was a thing, and of course, I love dubstep because of wakeboarding and the beat, and uh, that's all good stuff. But when it came to EDM as a genre, and going to see my like an EDM show, I thought it was kind of bogus, and that somebody, the person on stage, whoever it may be, they just press a button and the set is played out for them. And it didn't take a lot of talent, but when I really dove into it, and met a couple of friends that are into EDM music, they were showing me how sounds are engineered, and how it's way more than just a couple beats on a turntable. And how the visual aids and the just the visuals of the concert are also prepped and engineered to the different tracks. It really grew on me a lot, and I'm excited to hear more of that type of music. And the other one that's progressed on me is jazz music, or more of a zydeco with a scratch board, mainly just to be able to dance. It's a good time when you're really like in the moment, feeling the vibes of live music, and it's all just bringing energy into the room. And I think Zydeco music does that as one of the best. The last thing I want to talk about is how we get our music these days. I feel like now a lot of people are listening to the radio these days, and I was actually forced to listen to the radio for a while, driving an old GMC truck. There wasn't a lot of options there, and I wasn't willing to purchase a bunch of CDs or anything because it's 2021. And uh, I would just listen to the radio, have about 5 stations plugged in, and pop through those as there were commercials. And was it frustrating? Yeah, definitely. There were times where you'd pop over stations and they'd either be playing the same freaking song, and that was the whole reason you changed the station, or they're telling you about Alexander Shannara for 30 minutes. So with that, it made me appreciate when good songs did come on the radio. So that was pretty cool. But then also it kind of put me in this state of what's the radio going to give to me next, and how is this music going to speak to me and help me throughout my day. I think it's pretty cool when certain songs come on and you are either thinking about that song, or uh, it plays right along to where your mind was at, um, when you turn the radio on. But two of the most common avenues that we're getting music these days are Spotify and Pandora. And over the last 2 months, I've became a fan of both. When I look at Pandora, I got tricked into paying for the premium subscription for Pandora, and then I just never stopped because of what it does, and what it is. And um, just to describe it a little bit, you can have different playlists of the artists, right? And it'll try to tailor the music that you're listening to you, and what you like, and you have a thumbs up, thumbs down button. And the more you do that, the better it'll get. And for me, now having Pandora for a while, it's really cool how the station is kind of dialed in to my mindset and what I want to hear. And then also you have like a shuffle mode where it'll play all of the different playlists and genres of music that you like, and just jumble them all together. And it kind of goes back to the radio for me, of where uh, you're just seeing what happens next. instead of deliberately choosing the music that you want to hear. I think a lot of times we don't know what we want to hear. We may think that we know, or uh, there's a couple songs that it's like, oh, I'd love to hear that again, and you can choose them. But when it comes to the random and the roulette of Pandora, that's really the titties there. Is it like it just helps me out so much when something comes on and I was already thinking about that song, or it was in the moment, right? Being a DJ is, some people really enjoy to be a DJ, and I don't really know what that feels like yet, but it's cool to just be able to press a button, leave it, and wouldn't you know, all of these different songs are what I wanted to hear. uh, and I think listening to Pandora has played with my emotions a little bit, and the fact that the things that I've went through over the last couple months, it'll give me dumb ideas. Yeah, I should text them, definitely hit them up. They're probably thinking about me or whatever. I don't know how to really describe that, but um, spontaneity is important. And when I look at Spotify, I think it's really cool what it does, but Spotify is like an amplified version, because everyone's making these playlists on there of their favorite songs, and so it like it kind of gets the cream of the crop of the music, and it's just doing that over and over and over again, and that's what we're listening to. So it really intensifies the music that you're listening to, because um, it's like the best of the best, if you will. And uh, I think a lot of times it'll uh, it'll kind of put you in a weird state, right? Is if you're, let's say Megan the Stallion radio, right? Or Megan the Stallion playlist on Spotify, and um, by the end of it, that body yaddy is going to be stuck in your head. Number one. Number two, you'll feel like you really don't need anyone in your life, and that you are the absolute best version of yourself. And if anybody tells you different, then whatever she says, right? And that's kind of scary. Um, Now, I don't think we can blame someone like that for relationships crumbling in 2020, but I do know that all the women that I'm attracted to know that WAP song word for word, and it scares the crap out of me, um, just because of how just dirty it is. I guess that's why you should bring your mop. I'm not sure. Uh, but that kind of stuff, listening to it over and over and over is I think it's going to have a positive effect on your life. If you're listening to music that's constantly telling you that there's always something better out there for you, then you're going to start searching for something better, just accidentally. And um, like there's a couple songs that ring in my ears that are the exact opposite. Um, Anytime Freebird comes on the radio, it just makes me so thankful for my situation, and how I've felt that being a feather in the wind before, and being able to embrace that's really cool. Um, it's pretty neat that this impact has went so long, considering I'm not an artist of any type, and I'm really kind of on the outside looking in, and I can't tell you what it's like to make music, but I can tell you what it's like to listen to it. And um, the last thing I'll say is live concerts are really, really awesome. Um, Being in the room with someone who has put that much time into their craft is really cool. And then also when you see, the passion behind the lyrics, and even the commitment that it takes for the band to all be on sync is really neat. And then another thing with live music is you watch the artist when they have a screw up and see how they react to it. I think that shows a lot about someone. Is, obviously talked about that in multiple impacts, but uh, the ability to be able to pick it up and roll with it when things don't go your way is really neat. And seeing that on stage is something that really sparks my interest. And um, the last thing I'm gonna say about music is uh, have a couple songs that really describe what you like and who you are. And a lot of times, if you have that song and you're not willing to listen to it twice in a row, then it's probably not your jam. And yeah, let's just keep going with the flow, create movement, influence others through positive music, and try to stay on the good side of your lyric choices.